What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of It's Controversial. As always, I'm your host, Zachariah Jazz, and I just have a Hope for the Hood update regarding the safe outdoor spaces. Well, one specific safe outdoor space site proposal located at Blue Water and Estancia. That's the Bethlehem Baptist Church. The application is put forward by Pastor Dennis Hubbard of Bethlehem Baptist. Recently, KRQE News 13, they put out an article of which I cannot find anymore about a person who was already camped there even before application for the S.O.S had been approved. Um, Turns out he's somebody that I knew already, and since having learned that he was a person in the article, I have spoken with him to some length about this situation, what happened to him there. And because of this conversation and conversation that we had post interview, he is somebody I have grown to very much respect and admire, and so I hope to be able to emulate his very powerful and deep connection that he feels with his loved ones. And and again, I just want to take a moment to say thank you to him and let him know how much I appreciate him giving me the time. I will not share his name because in the audio that I'm about to share with you, he does not give it. So for his safety and protection and security, I won't share his name. So first, I just like to add something that he shared with me. He says it a little bit um during this conversation, but he points out to me that people who go to church, the people who are lost, they go to church to seek out sanctuary, right? And maybe forgiveness and mercy, right? And I think that's how he views, you know, this safe outdoor space in particular, because it is on the site of an already established church that does get a congregation. I spoke to with Pastor Hubbard myself, and he said there's only maybe 10 or 11 people in person, but he does have an online congregation too. Um, but it is an established church, and that's what he was going there for. You know, some peace and safety and security, right? That's what he was going there for. Sanctuary. He calls it asylum, but in our conversation off the record, he refers to it as sanctuary. And also, I'd like to add, um, for anybody who has been following for at least the past month, I've been giving these updates about this situation that's going on here in the West Mesa neighborhood, and how much the neighborhood is actually organizing against this safe outdoor space. And the people who are leading that charge are a couple by the name of Ed and Julia Fong. They are the owners and editors in chief of a new media website, local media called West Mesa News. And as far as I can tell, this is probably the most publicized opposition to the safe outdoor space location, I guess. And it's growing, and their influence is starting to reach out to the city. And I can't help but feel horribly outnumbered over here, but anyway. Um yeah, so my friend is going to give us some introspection and details about what he's been experiencing here at the Bethlehem Baptist Church that is on Estancia on Blue Water. So here's him to give better detail about that than I can. Here's my friend. So start at the beginning.
Alright, so the idea to camp out at the church on Blue Water in Estancia came from an officer while I was at the Speedway gas station. I was camping out behind the Smiths at one point, and the officer made me move, and I asked him, well, where would be a safe place for me to go? And he mentioned the controversy going and circling, let Mr. Hubbard, Pastor Hubbard, allowing people to camp out in the parking lot of the church.
This is the proposed location for the safe outdoor space, right?
Correct.
Okay.
And but he said he was not sure if they were letting people go there yet, or if it was set in stone that people couldn't. And so I went and I asked around, the neighborhood, and tried to find out some information. And after finding out that there was just a petition and Pastor Hubbard was still allowing people to seek asylum at the church, I waited a couple weeks before making that decision to go over there. But after having my stuff broken into and stolen from me, I decided that would be a very safe place and a calming location for me to get my mind straight, and maybe and possibly help me come up with a game plan to organize my life and start getting things in order. So I finally decided. I went down there. I spent one night, and the next day, on my second night, the morning of my second day there, I met Pastor Hubbard and the gentleman that works there, and they were very nice to me. But he was facing a lot of scrutiny from the neighborhood. I guess the neighborhood had passed the petition around, and 95% of the neighborhood, I don't know if those numbers are exact or correct or not, but that's what I was told. 95% of the neighborhood signed it saying they didn't want no tent city around here. And I guess he was getting like an outrageous amount of messages, emails, phone calls, just really blowing him up in regards to me being in his parking lot. I felt really bad. I wanted to leave right away, and he asked me not to. He said he had an idea, and he would like me to stay there and sit tight for a week, and he would get back with me with his game plan. I was going to leave right away. Again, I was hesitant towards staying, and I ended up biting the bullet, and I stayed there from the Saturday to the following Sunday. On that Sunday, during that week that I was there, I tried to spend as little time during the day there as possible. But in the mornings, I would get people that would drive by and throw rocks with pieces of paper taped to them, telling me, "This isn't Tent City, you need to leave." And just really causing issues, I felt like, for the church, and giving it a bad reputation. And I did not want any house of God to get a bad reputation on my account. So it was making me really lean towards leaving as soon as I could.
You said they were also throwing firecrackers at you?
I found remnants of popped black cat firecrackers in the porchway of my tent, because it has like a screened-in porch area, and on the side, and it left burn holes on the side of my tent, which actually they left holes that were melted, like you could tell that it was made from fire. So I put two and two together. Not being able to review the camera myself, I figured that they were throwing black cat firecrackers at my tent, and it caused the holes. I would get people from the sidewalk yelling for me to come out of the tent to talk to me, and out of fear I would just stay hidden. They would not go onto the property because and I would hear them say, I quote, "Look at all the cameras Hubbard has on the property. We don't want to get caught for trespassing." So they would stay on the outside, and they would just say a lot of mean and awful things in regards to the homeless people in Albuquerque. And they're not necessarily wrong on all the accusations that they bring up, but they are very blinded to the fact that not everybody is homeless for the same reason. And you can never judge a book by its cover, and some of us have real life issues and serious problems that we need help with in order to get back on our feet. And sometimes people hit a wall and fall down, and everybody once or twice in their life needs a helping hand. Life is hard, you know?
Not a handout, but a hand up, right?
Yes, exactly. But I just keep on trucking and keep faith in the Lord. And I feel like the way I was treated while I was there by the neighborhood was a very poor example of how Christians should act. What would Jesus do? And I just do not feel like Jesus would act in any way that those so-called Christians acted when it came towards whether accepting or rejecting me seeking asylum at that church. They just were concerned about the property values of their homes and me bringing them down by being there. Supposedly, without nobody knowing my background in any way, shape, or form, they are assuming I was too close to the elementary school and it was a danger for the children, me being there. I take that very offensive. I have children of my own. I'm a very caring father. I love my family, and children are our future, and I would never do anything to hurt a child in any way, and I would protect anybody's child that I saw in harm's way. So that to me was very uncalled for. I got a lot of scrutiny. You know, they said I was the reason our country is going through a stage of inflation, which
Wow.
is a complete and utter form of ignorance. You know, that's an uneducated individual that said that. There are several homeless people that I come across that do set a really poor example for our city, and people are very uncleanly. They don't pick up after themselves, and so yes, there are some issues with the homeless here and the way they handle themselves, and they're not acting like adults. I do agree with some of their concerns, but not all of us are homeless and act that way. I feel like they are in dire need of going to catechism all over again to learn what being a Christian is truly about. And you know, I do believe I was taught that Jesus was a poor man himself, and what if one of these homeless people that they treated this way turned out to be Jesus reincarnated, or Jesus' second coming, or an angel? I'm sure that they would feel really, really poorly.
I doubt they'd even believe it.
Or they wouldn't believe that it's true. My opinion of Pastor Hubbard is a good one. I feel like he has the best of intentions with his actions. People try to say that he's not a real pastor or he's not running a real congregation, but that's not fair. He would do whatever he needs to be done or whatever is necessary if the size of his congregation were to have grown or were to grow. As my opinion and my belief in what his actions would be, I can't put facts behind it because it hasn't happened. But he's a very kind man who let me seek asylum on the property. He treated me very well. He was not racist or prejudiced towards me in any way, shape, or form. He prayed with me. He made sure that the cameras were there so my belongings would not get stolen. I was not injured in my time there, but I was threatened by several of the neighborhood people that live in the neighborhood.
Right.
I left the property on my own. Well, on my own doing, not being told to leave by anybody from the church, itself, because I was done letting the church go through the type of media scrutiny and neighborhood scrutiny and giving it a bad name and giving Pastor Hubbard any sort of bad reputation on my account. I was asked to stay longer. I was told I could stay longer. I was told I did not have to leave, and I was been told I can go back if I wanted to. My decision not to is my decision and my decision alone. I was not aware till I had already removed my tent and cleaned up my mess that the Channel 13 News and I believe Telemundo or Television had me on air for my tent being pitched on the property. I think this is very ridiculous and being blown out of proportion. But people need to be educated and more open-minded towards certain people's situations and to why they're homeless. We have people out here that are mentally ill and unable to provide for themselves in a financial manner, and they need to be pulled aside and given help. Medical, physical, spiritual, and all the above. And there's some people out here that never meant for a drug to take their lives and rip it into pieces, and they desperately need help to try to put Humpty Dumpty back together again. We need to get together as Christians in this city to rebuild a foundation and a structure that is a positive one. Our city was once a great and beautiful, strong city. It's just we used to all stick together and everybody had everybody's back. If somebody needed help or if your truck broke down, everybody would stop and help you push it. Now if you broke down on the side of the road, you're lucky if one person even asked if you were okay. People are afraid in this city right now. God needs to show his face in light and show the light of the Holy Spirit upon our city and once again, and we need to go towards that light and work together. And please, when you see a homeless person, remember that they are people. They're not aliens. And it really hurts our feelings to be treated the way that we're getting treated. Well, the way I'm getting treated. I can't speak for everybody. But it's breaking my heart and it's breaking me down into pieces. The way people see me and then get an extra 10 feet of space away from me. or if I'm passing someone on the sidewalk, they stop and go into the street just so I could pass them. Or if I'm walking by somebody's car, it's already locked and they relock it 5 more times. It's really breaking me down. I am very grateful for Pastor Hubbard and the chance and the opportunity he gave me to rest. I really needed it, but I can't deal with the way the neighborhood is acting. They are, in my opinion, poor examples of Christians and the way Christianity should be shown to the world. That's not what we were taught. That's not what Jesus wants us to do or how he wants us to treat each other. Life's a garden. Dig it.
Dig it. Dig it. Oh, yeah.
And that's all I got.
Thank you. Life is a garden. Dig it. It all starts with the seed. Right? Thank you, my friend. Again, thank you very much for taking the time and giving me the time and allowing me to share your experiences and your story. I couldn't be more grateful. And I hope with this I can do more to help and bring awareness to yours and all of my friends who live on the streets, to be able to share their story too and change the narrative. That's my goal. That's my hope. And we have to find that community again. Absolutely. Everything you said was 100% spot on. This isn't the way Christians should be conducting themselves. They need to lead and live and believe in love, right? Not this hate and vitriol that they have for those who live on the streets. This narrative that everybody, just because they are drug addicts or something, that because they steal or because they might be a little dirty, that they are undeserving of any kind of love and compassion, right? People who live on the streets, they do the things that they do because of the circumstances that they are faced with, because of how society treats them and has cast them out of being part of society. And little things too, like not letting somebody in to use the bathroom, or not letting somebody into the gas station to use the microwave, or not even giving them a couple dollars to get something to eat because people are worried that they're just going to go buying drugs with it anyway, you know? And you know what? Sometimes that might be true. Sometimes that might be true. But who would want to be withdrawing and sick from their drug of choice, or maybe not of choice, but the drug that they're suffering from, the addiction that they're suffering from? Who would want to be sick on the streets without the resources to get better, or the safety and security of even a haven, I guess, to be able to do so, to get past those withdrawals, to get past kicking, you know? Who would want to just do that on the street? No, people need a safe and secure place. They need the resources and tools to be able to do that. And nobody gives them the opportunity. Nobody. This is a form of violence. They are subjugating them to violence because the city rejects them. The people, the communities reject them. They cast them out, cast them aside. and yet they demand that they do better. They demand that they get clean. They demand that they get a job. They demand that they conduct themselves in a manner that conforms to what they view as societal norms, while never giving them opportunity to do so, thus leading to a life of chaos, of violence, of harm, of vulnerability, of being ostracized by the community, by always having to work. I tell my friends on the streets all the time, your hustle is the same as mine. My hustle is the same as yours. We are always, always, always working to survive. You don't think that being out on the streets every day is work? They work harder every single day than I have in my entire life. Every minute of their waking life, every breath that they take is work. It has to be, because ultimately we have to work to survive, right? Don't we? They work hard, all the while living with the reality that everybody around them hates them. It is cruel, it is inhumane, and it is not, as to my understanding and as to my friend's belief, what Jesus would do, how Jesus would live, how he would want people to be. Because if Jesus couldn't give somebody housing, he would choose to be on the streets with them until he found a way to get it. So before we had this conversation, um, I personally reached out to Pastor Dennis Hubbard, and he didn't answer at first, but he did call me back within the hour of having called him. And I left him a message, saying who I am, why I'm calling. I was calling to talk about potentially gaining access to um, that any potential camera footage of what happened to my friend while he was during his time spent at Bethlehem Church. Um, he personally hasn't, well, at the time of my talk with him, hadn't yet looked at any camera footage. Um, so he was unable to provide me with that. But I did, I left him with my number. He has my number, contact information, and et cetera, et cetera. So as soon as he does, he said that he would give me a call, um, so I can let my friend know and share some more of what happened to him there. And also, I asked if his application for the S.O.S. be approved, um, and there's security on site, that they wouldn't be there to only keep oversight of the residents at the S.O.S, but to also keep them safe from any outside entities, that being people in the neighborhood who will take what they deem as justice into their own hands, right? Because they know and believe, well, I guess they don't know, but they do believe that APD is handcuffed, in the great words of Sean Willoughby, is handcuffed from being able to do their jobs as they see fit, i.e., being a violent police force or punishment brigade, I like to call them. So, well, in that, and police response times are incredibly low, right? I mean, I know that just from observation and hearing stories about it, because I personally do not call the police. They show up and kill people for wellness checks, but they know these things, right? And so they will take it upon themselves to carry out actions that they feel are necessary, right? And they've already started in many ways, especially with my friend here at the Bethlehem Baptist Church. Now, if it gets approved, it could it could be very dangerous for residents at Bethlehem Baptist. It can, and it will escalate to a point that maybe we can't come back from. So I had him assure me that they would be protected, and he reassured me of his firm belief in the Second Amendment. I won't go into details about how the rest of that statement went on, but I'm sure you have a slight idea of what he said in regards to people trespassing onto his property to do harm onto others. Um, so that made me feel a little bit okay about their safety there. But this is a growing issue, and these people are at war with you know those who live on the streets. They are, and more and more people who live on the streets, in specifically in my area, are starting to learn about these things. And some will stand up for themselves. They will. They won't just take it laying down. They've gone through so much of that already, and they are brave in that way. And I'd probably stand with them. So, if you would, be so kind as to help me help them, and if you support my work, um, please consider um making a donation to um Hope for the Hood, my mutual aid project. I have a Venmo set up. Hope for the Hood. Um, I believe that's the name of it. Let me go check on it. Sorry. Yes. At Hood dash Hope dash 989. This is Hope for the Hood. Please, anything that you can send helps. Um, Help me get hand warmers. Help me get material supplies to make the heaters, the 91% isopropyl heaters, because we do not have very much material left, and maybe one or two distros left um for that. And these little seeds of hope have already saved a lot of lives, um and will continue to save lives with your help. So if you've made it this far into this video, I want to just thank you for taking the time to listen. Even that goes a long way. If you would like and subscribe to my channel and share this video, with your networks on your Facebooks, timelines, get the word out there. Help me share this story and bring awareness to it because they deserve some advocacy. They need to know that people give a shit about them. So, with that, you know, be open minded. Stop giving my friends such a hard time. Instead, give them some hope. Maybe something to eat. I love y'all. Take care of each other. We protect us.